This meeting is called to order in accordance with the Open Public Meeting Act. This meeting was included in a list of meeting dates sent to the Home News Tribune, the Star Ledger, and the Highland Park Planet on January 4th, 2017, and was posted on the bulletin board of Borough Hall, 221 South 5th Avenue on January 4th, 2017, and has remained continuously posted as required by law. Fire exits are to my left and to my right. If you come up to speak, please speak into the microphones, and assistive listening devices are available. Nika, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Mittler?
Here.
Councilman Fine?
Here.
Councilwoman Foster Dublin? Councilman George?
Here.
Councilman Hirsch?
Here.
Councilwoman Kim?
Here.
Councilwoman Whelkovitz?
Here.
Borough Attorney?
Here.
Borough Administrator?
Here.
There are all kinds of heroes who live in Highland Park, and today I have the distinct pleasure and honor of calling and honoring Franco Jurisic, who is being honored today with a proclamation and an award as a hero in Highland Park, our Patient Courage Award. And at this point, I'd like to call Franco up and the folks from who are here with the special award for him as well. Okay, let me read you this proclamation. Whereas, in the fall of 2008, Franco Jurisic was a new father, preparing to accomplish a life goal of running the New York City Marathon. During his training, he noticed he was becoming jaundiced, and whereas on Halloween, after a biopsy with his father at his bedside, Franco was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. And whereas instead of running the marathon, Franco was in a race for survival. He needed to do whatever it took to get the best treatment for the disease and increase his chances of survival. Whereas the very best treatment for pancreatic cancer is to undergo a Whelk procedure to remove the tumor. And thankfully, Franco was the candidate for this complicated 5 to 6 hour abdominal surgery that was performed by Dr. David August from the Cancer Institute of New Jersey. This procedure has only a 6% survival rate past 5 years. And whereas Franco's treatment so far has been a best case scenario, unfortunately, his father was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer on June 2012 and passed away 7 weeks later. He worries about the genetic component of this disease, which is the third leading cause of cancer death in the United States. And whereas, to help others in beating this awful disease, Franco volunteers for the Pancreatic Cancer Action Network, a national organization focusing on research, patient support, community outreach, and advocacy for a cure. He is a regular participant and contributor to the events in the Northern New Jersey affiliate of this organization. And whereas Franco's journey and recovery has been remarkable and inspiring, even more so in November 2013, to mark his 5-year survival mark, Franco finally ran the New York City Marathon. And whereas whereas Franco is currently the advocacy coordinator for the New Jersey affiliate of the Pancreatic Cancer Action Network, he has been involved with PanCan for 8 years, working to raise awareness and funding to end this disease. Now, therefore, I, Gail Brill-Mittler, the mayor of the Borough of Highland Park, do hereby proclaim Franco Jurisic to be a hero, a true Highland Park hero.
Sorry.
Okay. Borough camera here.
Okay, now for some real fun. Highland Park High School has long been known for its academics, but it's my pleasure to invite this year's girls track team and Nika Fig Harrison, I knew the Nika Fig, up to join me as we award the girls field and track team for coming in so wonderfully and strong here to represent Highland Park in its sports. And I'm going to ask Council President Susan Welkowitz, who's been a big advocate for all of you, to talk a little bit too.
I just wanted to say that the last time the high school girls track team brought home the state title was in 1979, and Nika still holds the 8-pound shot put state record. So it's wonderful.
So Nika and the girls, would you please come up?
We should have had a baton reader and pass to that.
So Nika, you've been an inspiration to all of us, and to us, all of us in Highland Park as well. And you girls and your coaches, fantastic, really. I have an award for each and every one of you, and I understand you just came in, I think, 4th in the entire state. That's amazing. That's really so I have one of these for each of you. And thank you so much for all of your commitment to your studies and to your athletics.
And Mayor, I just want to point out, Highland Park is a small community, so to have this body of talent from our small community is really amazing. Thank you.
That's wonderful. Congratulations. for those of you who don't know, I was away on vacation. I think
We'll have to print more.
one more.
They didn't tell me how many girls were coming.
Okay, I'm gonna have to get you yours. Would you make sure you let us know your name and how to get it to you? Just tell the clerk right over there. She's right behind you, okay? Okay? Guys, thank you. Good job. Thank you. And for those of you who don't know, there was actually a parade in their honor while I was on vacation Friday. So this is really a big deal for Highland Park. Again, thank you all so much. Can we get a picture? Okay.
Oh, wait, Nika, come back.
So where do you want me, on the end, in the middle?
Where do you want to go?
All right, look at it, girls.
Yeah, in the middle.
Thank you.
I saw them in
I'll have it printed in the morning. No, I didn't.
middle school.
I got that one.
Because I'm in training.
Okay, now we get down to business. Main Street, I think you have a Main Street minute for us today. Rebecca Hirsch from the Main Street Organization.
Hi, can you hear me? Do I need to use this? So just a couple short things. Our farmers market is in full swing. We have we're just getting more and more vendors every year. A couple of our new vendors this year include a New Jersey winery, a cold brew coffee company, an olive oil and vinegar vendor. One of our local businesses, New Athens Corner, has a table at the farmers market every week now. He's doing great, so we're really excited. We always try to encourage local businesses to have tables at the market. We put out some new furniture at the market so people can hang out and have lunch and just enjoy their time. On this Friday, we are going to have a small performance at noon from some Bartle school kids. I'm not really sure what the performance is, but they asked if they could come for 20 minutes and do a little performance at the front of the market. So they're coming at noon. Everyone come to the market at noon to see the Bartle kids. On Friday, June 30th, we are teaming up with Sustainable Highland Park to do the soft launch of their new plastic bag reduction campaign. We're Main Street's as a partner in this program. This is not a mandatory bag ban, but we're going to be the liaison with the local businesses to try to encourage them to give out fewer bags. So there's no penalty, but we're going to work with them to do some education and outreach and try to make Highland Park more sustainable. Brian Onken is our outdoor movie guru here, and I just want to say that the movies get bigger and better every year. We've had over 100 people at the first two movies that we've had this year. The one this Saturday is Big Trouble in Little China. Everyone should come. And the one after that is Grand Budapest Hotel, 2 weeks from Saturday. I think I got that right. We are already gearing up, planning for Arts in the Park. We're actively soliciting vendors, artists, and sponsors. That will be on Sunday, September 24th. We have a new website. We're working on content, so everybody check out the website. If there's stuff that you want to see there, let me know. We're building it and just sort of doing it slowly. And one of the things that we're working on is a new business directory and a map of all the downtown businesses that Arnie Weinberg is helping us with. So he's got his artists working on it. So that should be great. What else? Chamber 43 is our newest business in town. They are a record store, and the new owner is great. He's really engaged, and he's already joined one of our committees. He's open till 11 o'clock at night, which I love. We always want businesses to stay open late to have more vibrancy to the downtown in the evening. And that's pretty much it.
Rebecca, how's Blank Space? What is it called? It's
I think
Blank
they're
Space?
doing okay. I think they're doing okay. They have focused on doing events. Like, I don't think that their bread and butter is necessarily just people working there yet, but they rent the space out for small events and meetings, and I think, yeah, they're hanging in there. Yeah.
And Rebecca, if I could ask you, the new record store in town, is that
That's
in the
Chamber 43.
Is that in the Petmore building, or where is that?
It's where the vaping store was.
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah.
Because I saw a T-shirt hanging in the front.
Yeah, they sell some other stuff, but it's
Okay.
mostly records.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good.
So. Yes, Matt.
Mayor,
Hirsch.
may I just
Yes,
mention,
go ahead, Matt.
that the mayor and I actually used
Yes.
Blank Space for a meeting with about an exciting local
That's right.
initiative. So that
Oh,
was,
nice.
yeah, it was
Yeah.
a
Good work.
It was a good location. I encourage you to use that.
Sorry, we're being for those of you who can't see, we're being entertained by Rebecca's youngest son. And that's what he thinks of this. Thank you, Rebecca.
Thank you.
There goes your audience.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Okay, council reports. I'm going to start down on my right with Councilwoman Kim.
Thank you, Mayor. As it relates to the Arts Commission, we had a awesome open studios this past Sunday. I'd like to thank everyone who participated. Even our own Councilman George was there. He's a man of many trades. To all the organizers, artists, businesses, and art supporters who helped make this event a great success. We could not have done it without you. Please come out to our next Arts Commission meeting, July 13th at 6 p.m. here at Borough Hall. Senior Services and Council on Aging, our meeting was rescheduled because of the primary voting that took place last Tuesday at the Senior Center. We will be meeting on June 27th. We will be discussing some topics regarding OATS, which is, it stands for Older Adults Technology Services. They're based in New York, and their organization helps older adults live a more connected life. Finally, one of our signature programs, our Senior Prom, will take place June 20th at 4 p.m. This event allows the seniors to also attend their yearly prom or so, where it's a great event. We have dancing and refreshments, and at the end we also crown a king and queen. This year I'm excited to announce that the seniors will be able to take home a keepsake. We will have a photo booth there for them this year. So they're really excited about it. And that photo booth was sponsored by Oasis Senior Advisors, so thank you. For the rec department, today was the last day to sign up for senior camps without a late fee. So please go over still if you missed the deadline. Last month, we had a great event. We did our annual Buddy Ball Talent Showcase. Thank you to everyone that attended. Our County Cultural and Heritage Commission, I attended this past Saturday, June 10th, the Celebrate Middlesex County Festival. Residents from around the county enjoyed free entertainment and fun for the whole family in Roosevelt Park. This Saturday, the celebrating Pride Month, we will have a LGBT flag raising at the Middlesex County Building in New Brunswick, 75 Bayard Street. It starts at 9:30 and having a small program and refreshments, and will end at 11:30 a.m. And that's it for my report.
Thank you. Councilman George?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Councilwoman Kim, for the acknowledgement. I saw you over at the IM Gallery where I was displaying some pieces. With regard to the parking study group, we did hit a snag back in late spring. We had the last part of our investigation and report was the utilization study to actually determine actual usage on our main commercial streets. The prior studies that were done through the university were basically just snapshots, but a utilization study studies the parking over a period of time at certain times of the day to actually determine what is the usage. We were going to get help from Rutgers, but unfortunately the programs were unable to get us student volunteers. So I did speak to our citizen volunteers in the last week, and we are going to be doing that. We broke the work up and distributed it so that we can get that done. We've also incorporated recommendations and thoughts from Complete Streets, the redevelopment agency, for the final report. With regard to the Department of Public Works, I want to remind everyone, I hope you're aware that tomorrow is bulk trash pickup for the south side. Please put out any bulk trash that you have. Last week was the north side, and they reported 27-ton pickup, which is pretty consistent with what it's been over the past couple of years. You would have gotten a reminder for that if you had Recycle Coach, which is now up to 150 users. The app is free. We keep talking about it all the time. It does a lot more than just remind you to take your trash out or put your bulk trash out. Although even that helps, because while I was there at my early morning weekly meeting at DPW, 3 people called to find out if today was bulk trash day or is it tomorrow. So it would certainly help out with that. But you can report problems to DPW. You can get information on what is recyclable simply by scanning the document, because some items like batteries or some such may have a different recycling schedule, and they'll tell you where and when. DPW, we got the grant, as you know, for repaving, and DPW is working on the repaving schedule, and we'll keep you posted on that so that you know what streets are going to be tied up during the summertime. All of the 22 internal tree plantings have been completed. That's the joint program among Sustainable New Jersey, STAC, and DPW, Main Street for the Raritan Avenue. The internal trees are off the main commercial roads. They're all planted. The tree stumps have been removed from the old trees on Raritan, and about half of those trees have been replanted. The others should be done by the end of the week. We did get a report of someone driving over a tree on the sidewalk. Unfortunately, they weren't able to get a license plate at the present time, and unfortunately, that voids the warranty on the tree as well. They actually drove across the sidewalk to get a parking space at Dunkin' Donuts. The Environmental Commission, we, in working along with the beekeepers who've had, as you know, have had some damage to the beehives. One was fairly substantial, one was relatively minor. We thought that, I think we talked about it last time, that there are new lights that are coming out that are available as technology moves around that are solar powered, motion detector, and dusk to dawn. We got one and we installed it down at the beehive. I went down and tested it the other night. It goes on when it's charged up and stays on for 3 minutes. I also picked up another unit to put outside the environmental center, because when we close meetings down, if it's after dark, as it sometimes is, and always is in the winter, it's pitch black when you turn the lights off. So we'll be putting these solar-powered lights, which are completely self-sustained. They don't use electricity around, and hopefully the environmental will show us whether they're more available for everywhere else. The Environmental Center's website, or Environmental Commission's website, is almost done, thanks to Chris Satch, who's been the volunteer. He's an IT expert, and he's been designing it. We are now in the process of crossing over content as well, but at the last meeting, they discussed that they were looking for some way to tie in Highland Park and the environment. I know from being a member of the Highland Park Art Collective that a number of our local artists or photographers who specialize in the immediate area, always photographing down in the meadows and so on. And so I talked to Councilwoman Kim to connect up the Arts Commission and Collective along with the Environmental Center. Finally, the environmental trail work is proceeding. This is a year-long work project with several phases. Right now, it is the relocating the entrance to the trails to make a better access. Also, removing invasive species and replanting the native species in the area. The birding project also had several meets. They've spotted a number of unusual raptors at the raptor session down along the river. And they run, and 10 or 15 people are showing out to those early Sunday mornings. Sustainable Highland Park, it's on the agenda for tonight. As you know, we got a grant award from Sustainable New Jersey Small Grants Program, actually sponsored by PSE&G. We didn't get the larger award, we did get the $10,000 award. It's on the agenda to accept tonight. That's a joint project, as Ms. Hirsch has told us, in working with Main Street Highland Park to reduce the usage of non-recyclable plastic bags, to encourage people to go back to using the totes. Apparently what happened was, it was a big push about 10 years ago and it fell off. And nationally they're noticing that the fall off should be addressed. The next meeting, by the way, for the Environmental Commission is July 5th at the Center, and Sustainable Highland Park, June 28th at the Center. Please come out and watch them work. Again, just a short note on Shade Tree Advisory, their big project, the Main Street planting is going very, very well. And as part of that, the original bid for the caliber or thickness of the trees to be planted, the Arboretum was unable to supply the exact caliber, so they gave us a reduction in price. The reduction in price was enough to cover using the watering jackets that both protect the lower branches and water the tree, so we were able to pick that up for still under the amount budgeted. The tree inventory should be done at the end of July. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, Councilman George, when the Environmental Commission works on their website, please have them get in touch with Monica Jackson at the Borough's office, the communications office, because she's trying to coordinate.
I did remind them of that at the meeting. Chris just wanted to make sure he had it all pulled over, the new site together, and able to pull the content off the old before he ties in with the borough. But I did remind him that needed to be done. Okay, great. Thank you. Councilman Hirsch, do you have a report?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Tonight we're voting on Resolution 6-17-200, which is an amendment to the cooperation agreement between the Borough of Highland Park and the Highland Park Housing Authority. This is basically a pro forma measure that updates the pilot agreement between the Highland Park Housing Authority and the Borough. But I just wanted to explain a little bit. This is necessitated by the Housing Authority's new ownership arrangement with New Jersey Community Capital, which we announced earlier this year as part of our entrance into HUD's Rental Assistance Demonstration Program, or RAD. What is RAD? Well, RAD is simply a financing mechanism that allows under-resourced public housing authorities like ours to leverage private funds for necessary capital needs improvements. Private funds funding public housing, you say? Well, RAD is the result of about $30 billion in unmet capital needs nationwide in the country's public housing stock. And Congress can't or won't appropriate the funds necessary to make these critical improvements to the nation's 1.1 million public homes. This resolution that we're hopefully going to pass tonight signifies nothing different from what we're doing now. All housing authorities have pilots, payment in lieu of taxes, and the Highland Park Housing Authority pays a special agreement based on 10% of the gross shelter rents minus utilities. But because the 100 homes in the Samuel Cronman building are part of the RAD agreement and not our 24 family units here on South 6th, this essentially we have to segment our agreement. The RAD agreement basically transfers ownership of the property to New Jersey Community Capital for 30 years, and we've acknowledged this agreement in the past. New Jersey Community Capital is a community development financial institution, mission-based, and neighborhood stabilization-based. They have a strong affordable housing mission. We looked at several possible lenders, including traditional banks. But we didn't like the fact that affordable housing was not part of their mission, and they will be good financial stewards over this arrangement. I should note that the 100 affordable homes in Cronman are still very much publicly managed and under public stewardship. But in order to leverage new capital for a new roof, bathrooms, windows, and more, we've entered into this tax credit or RAD arrangement with New Jersey Community Capital. And again, they are as good a partner as we could have hoped in this arrangement. And I should note that we're not unique. Public housing authorities all over the country are going to be required to enter into this arrangement because they just simply do not have the capital necessary to make these improvements. Through HUD's provisions, though, we're able to maintain our pilot agreement with the borough because we established a nonprofit affiliate, the Highland Park Housing Corporation, the Highland Park Affordable Housing Corporation, to serve as the direct or indirect legal authority to direct financial and legal interests. The exciting thing about this nonprofit, though, is that it can someday serve as an affordable housing developer in the long term, which is a very exciting prospect. The 24 family homes at Park Terrace, which I mentioned earlier, are still under the ownership of the Highland Park Housing Authority. So those will remain under our ownership. Tonight, we're also holding a first reading and public comment on an ordinance that creates a new commission on immigrant and refugee affairs. The commission will recommend policy related to Highland Park's immigrant community, including the borough's underserved and marginalized immigrant populations. It will also monitor the policies stated in the borough's inclusive community resolution that we passed on May 2nd, and in any related actions, executive orders, and directives thereof. I'm pleased to announce that our 4 original members of our Immigration and Refugee Task Force, which we established last year, will be part of this new commission, and then we will have 5 additional members joining us. We do have open seats, so if you are interested in working on matters related to immigration policy here in the borough, please fill out a volunteer application available on the borough's website, www.hpborough.com. And I see a few members of the public who may be interested in serving. Please join the borough's Immigration and Refugee Task Force at the next Middlesex County Freeholders meeting this Thursday, June 15th at 7 p.m. At the Middlesex County Administration Building at 75 Baird Street in New Brunswick. As you might have heard, the Freeholder Board unanimously passed a new policy that clarifies Middlesex County's policy on interactions with immigration and customs enforcement, and particularly on the county's detainer policies and how the county interacts with federal immigration agents. Our attendance will serve to thank the freeholders for their leadership on this issue, as well as to stand in unity in the face of anticipated opposition. The Highland Park Housing Authority will hold its monthly meeting tomorrow, June 14th at 6:30 p.m. in the Samuel Cronman building here over at 242 South 6th Avenue. Please come. The Highland Park Board of Health will hold its monthly meeting Thursday, June 15th at 7 p.m. here at Borough Hall at 221 South 5th Avenue. We have a pretty full agenda that will include discussions around mosquitoes, opioid abuse, tobacco, and lice. Please come. These are critically important meetings. And then tonight, we're appointing Dina Stevens to the Human Relations Commission. I know Dina well, and her civic-mindedness and her ability to work with the community will be a real asset to the commission and to the borough. We're also appointing Nasrin Rafiq to the Immigrant and Refugee Task Force, and I very much thank her for her service and for stepping up at this critical time. And that's my report.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Fine, do you have a report?
I do not, Madam Mayor.
Okay. Council President Welkowitz, do you have a report?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. First, I'd like to thank Rebecca Hirsch, Director of Main Street, Highland Park, for joining us this evening and updating us on all that Main Street's doing. Their support and promotion of our downtown businesses is vital. Main Street will be meeting next on Wednesday, June 21st at 6:30 p.m. at our Senior Center. We'll be looking at a presentation on a new smartphone kiosk where our local businesses can post about their business and other local events. Rebecca was also here this evening because the council will be approving their annual budget. They do a tremendous job in organizing our street fair, the arts in the park, supporting our businesses, running our farmers market for about more than 6 months of the year, and all the vital work that they do. I'd also like to thank, as council, what's that?
7 months of the year.
Yeah, I think so, right? I'd also, as Councilman George said earlier, I'd also like to thank Foreman Frank Troy and Rebecca Hirsch, and also Main Street's John Webster for working together to plant those trees along our Main Street Business District. They'll provide additional shade, which we could use in times like today, fresh air, and welcoming and providing a welcoming climate to attract more foot traffic and shoppers. And I'd also like to thank Trish Sanchez, Fern Goodhart, co-chairs of our Safe Walking and Cycling Committee, along with members Sean Meehan, Peter Bilton, and the rest of the committee, for bringing home the gold and the silver. Here we have our Gold Award, gold level recognition for New Jersey Safe Routes to School, honoring the commitment and support of the program by encouraging children to walk and bicycle to school. The borough received this gold certificate, and both Bartle and Irving schools also received the same. And this was at the annual meeting of Keep Middlesex Moving a few weeks ago. And we were also awarded the Silver Award from New Jersey Smart Workplaces for outstanding achievement in creating programs that provide and promote commuting options for employees. So to add to our collection. We're very proud of that. And I believe that's all I have.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Borough Administrator, do you have a report?
Not today.
Thank you. Borough Attorney, do you have a report?
No report, Madam Mayor.
Okay, I have a couple of things. June 2nd was Wear Orange Day, to help promote the idea that we must end gun violence in this country. And I'm proud to show you all of our employees that came wearing orange that day. So this is going to be hung on my wall. And yes.
I wasn't here that day.
Because Joan missed it, she's wearing her orange today. In line with that, this is Disarm Hate Week. And I am one of the mayors that signed up for helping to get recognition of the importance of ending gun violence in this country. Yesterday started National Disarm Hate Week, a week to honor those killed by hate-fueled violence, and a week to bring awareness to and demand action against illegal guns. Last year alone, we saw the largest mass shooting in modern U.S. history, when a man shot and killed 49 people and injured another 50 at a nightclub in Orlando. A year before that, a man shot and killed 9 people in a church in Charleston. This week, between June 12th and June 18th, marks the week between these two horrific events. Gun violence is an epidemic in the United States, and it is imperative that we not only bring attention to these critical situations, but we also must mobilize and take action to end these acts of violence that threaten the fabric of our nation. I also had the honor of joining what at the time was 78 mayors across the country in a group called Climate Mayors. We just had a conference call today. Those 78 mayors that have now grown to close to 300. And we are all mayors in support of the Paris Accord and making our country more green and utilizing more clean energy. There is a resolution that the council will be voting on tonight, which is a resolution to support the Paris Agreement. I know that it's hard to make an impact on things on a global basis, but we can do everything that we can to impact our community and other cities and states across the United States, and we will be working towards that. I do want to also comment, Councilman George, I've had several people tell me they saw your fine furniture art at the Open Studios this past weekend.
Thank you, Mayor.
And from what I'm hearing, you have a new business opportunity when you retire. I also want to mention that last Memorial Day, the major parade between Highland Park and New Brunswick was canceled due to the rain. However, Highland Park did want to honor all of the men and women that volunteer and serve us here in the community. Our police department, fire department, and first aid squad, and Councilman Hirsch is a member of the Public Safety Committee. Councilman Hirsch, did you want to say something further about this?
I just wanted to, Councilwoman Foster Devlin is not here tonight, but as the second chair of the Public Safety Committee, I just wanted to express how just what an honor it was to participate in that event. It was my first time doing that. It was deeply special, not only to understand the history of the men and women who have served our town, and in some cases, sacrificed their lives to serve our town, in addition to the men and women who have served our country and obviously have sacrificed their lives in their service. But it's something that I would just encourage anybody to attend. We lay wreaths at key spots around town to honor our volunteers and to honor the people who have served our community and our country. And it was just a wonderful experience. And I just I thank the Chief Risco and the police department, the Highland Park First Aid Squad, and the Highland Park Fire Department for just putting together a phenomenal event. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. All right, we're ready for our first open public discussion. Does anybody have anything? Please step up to the microphone, state your name and address.
So, my name is Abby, and I live on Harper Street. So I'd like to follow up on a comment that I made at the last public meeting. So I do believe, I've been coming to these meetings now, and I think, I have a good sense of what I'm starting to have a good sense of what this town values. I believe it, values transparency is one of the things that I've seen. And I've noticed that on the website, all of the meeting dates are actually 2016. It's now June, and they haven't been updated. I understand that you have posted them in various newspapers, and they are posted in person, but I really think it's important that they get updated on the website. Additionally, I also think that the meeting should actually be announced on social media, and in some way, announcements if there are special meetings. I've been trying to keep an eye on the calendar, and I think there was a special meeting maybe a week or two ago, but I didn't see it until afterward. We would have liked to attend that. There was no announcement or any way until maybe the day of to know about that, so I think that's really important to have some kind of announcement. I also think that anything that's being voted on really should be, I know there are a lot of resolutions and a lot of things that are written last minute, but I really think it's important that our community that does value transparency and, once is asking for public comment to allow us to have time to read these things. A lot of them are really great, and we may be able to speak in support of them, but we're not given that opportunity to even know. And in looking at, I've read every title of the ones that are being read today, and a lot of them are really ambiguous and hard to know what's going on. As an example, I'm just curious, number 29, which is 6-17-208, is a resolution to reduce water and sewer bill for a specific location. That may be great, I may be in support of that, but I'd really like to know why. And then there's others that I have no idea what they even mean. So that's one half of what I'd like to say. The other half, in terms of transparency and the ability to comment, is I think it's really great that these are videotaped, and I think that's important for the people that can't attend. But I also think there's a large population, especially given what we've seen in the last couple months with our support of immigrants and refugees, who aren't able to attend, which means they can't give comment. So they may be able to watch retroactively, but they aren't given the opportunity to comment and give any feedback. So if there were some form of, whether it's in person, dropping off a note, and maybe that does exist, I'm not aware of it, an online submission or something, so that they're people who can't attend, who maybe have a second job or a night shift or childcare, that they can't afford childcare. Everyone in this room obviously was able to make it, but I'm sure there's plenty of people who can't. I think that's really important as well. So I think it really all comes down to just transparency, so that the support can be there from the community, and then if there are any questions, we're given the opportunity to ask them. So I do understand that what I'm asking involves some work, some work on the part of getting these ahead of time. I know that resolutions are written last minute, but if everything were shifted by a month or a meeting, then we'd have time to read it. If there is something that a volunteer would be helpful with in terms of making announcements, I don't know how the social media is run. I'm obviously, familiar with it. I'm happy to volunteer in that respect, but I do think that these things are important for our community.
So thank you very much. Let me address some of the things that you mentioned, just so you know where we are on some of these things. So we did take your comments regarding the resolutions online at, I think it was the last meeting.
Yeah.
And in fact, in our conference, in our agenda portion of our meeting that we just came out of, we did have a discussion about how to get these resolutions in some way up on the website ahead of time, which includes, we actually have set dates for ourselves when we have to have things in by. And sometimes we just get, just like you, we get over-eager to make things happen and start sticking things in at the last minute because we want to get them on the agenda. But what we are going to try to do is discipline ourselves to stick with the dates that have been established. I know the borough administrator has some strong feelings about this as well. And we'll be...
I have like a fever right now, and
Oh.
it just hit me, so like,
Oh.
I don't mean to be rude, but I'm having like...
I can see.
Yeah,
Oh.
it just hit me.
Okay, so I'm going to finish quickly, and then I'm going to tell you, go home and get into bed.
Have a seat, please.
Yeah, you don't have to stand there. Thank you, Susan. As far as the meeting dates on the website, we have a communications department that's supposed to be updating them on a regular basis. We will,
I just wrote it up for that.
okay, we'll talk with them.
I'm looking on the calendar right now, so there might not be an actual chart that lists them all available, although we have one internally. I am looking on the calendar on the borough website.
They're up to date.
And those are correct. So what you need to look for is Tuesday evenings, and it's usually the first and third, and I'm also saying this for the audience that's watching. It's usually the first and third Thursday of the month. Now, of course, I'm sorry, oh my gosh, the first and third Tuesday of the month. But of course, this month, the first Tuesday was Election Day, so we've moved it in, and again, I believe in July and August, we have an alternative schedule. So look on Tuesday evenings. We start here at 7 p.m. at Borough Hall.
Hey, were you talking about the council meetings, or were you talking about meetings?
Calendar, I just also, when
You meant
we're
to-
looking for it, it may be discouraging. I mean, I've obviously been able to figure it out, I'm here, but,
Right.
It's a little discouraging to see 2016, all of those, and not the 2017 ones.
Okay.
Mayor, may If you could maybe email us and show where you're seeing that, because I'm.
It's under Borough Clerks, and then where you're hitting meetings and agenda, there's like two different things, and one is calendar.
We can change that quickly.
Yeah.
I would like to point out to anybody watching though that the calendar is the 2017 calendar is very present on the home page with all of the upcoming meetings listed there. But if there is,
It also lists committee meetings as well.
correct.
And if there's a special meeting, how is that?
That's usually announced 48 hours ahead of time. Is that how that works, Clerk? Yeah, we have to announce that 48 hours ahead of time. In the newspapers and, where's that thing that I read?
I found the page that needs to be updated, by the way. Thank you.
It's announced, a special meeting is something that we usually, if we couldn't cover something in the regular meeting, because we ran out of time, or for, like, the resolution got written to later and it was important, then we have to call a special meeting. It's advertised in the Home News Tribune, the Star Ledger, the Highland Park Planet, and on our website. I don't want to go out of order. If you have a question after, please step up and we'll discuss it then. But I want to get her out of here before she gets really sick. So let me, but just, yeah, no, please.
Okay, I just need to sit down.
So as I said, we're working on getting those resolutions done, and there is something called online submissions. So for people who can't make it to a meeting and have a question, they can submit it through the website on online submissions. And I hope that answered your question. Okay. Please take care of yourself. We like seeing you here whenever we're here. Okay, and did you have something you wanted to ask? You'd have to come up to the microphone.
I was going to inform her that most of this information is on the Highland Park channel of all these.
Yes, that too. I forgot to mention that. HPTV.
Channels.
Okay. Any other public discussion?
Hi, I'm Dan Mladnick. I live at 216 Graham Street in Highland Park, and I'm a teacher at Highland Park Middle School. I teach 8th grade at Global Civics class, and I'm just letting you know, because you all got a bunch of letters, and many of them unedited letters from first graders that just were in your boxes. I'm just letting you know where those came from. So what happened, there's a project that the students are doing in our class in which the students take on a public policy issue and they research it and form an opinion about what they would like done, and then decide, and then they have to find the appropriate elected officials and then try to influence them. They're not required to submit letters, but some of them chose to. So 3 of our 8th grade students took on an issue in which they were advocating for a spray park to be built in Highland Park. And we also have this program where we go to Irving School and we work with first graders. And on one of the trips there, the 8th graders taught the first graders about spray parks. They discussed pros and cons of spray parks. And then the first graders ended up writing letters with a little bit of guidance from the 8th graders. So the letters that you received in your boxes were not edited. They were pretty raw and honest, I think, from what the first graders were thinking. So I'm just letting you know where those came from, because they weren't attached. I didn't attach a note from me.
So that's great. Please have them keep those letters coming. And just so you know, and you may want to bring this back to them, we have been trying to find a space for a spray ground since I came on council in 2009. So we're with them on that. I tried to get the county to put one in Donaldson Park, but because it's on a floodplain, they won't dig down on it. But they did tell me that if we find a spot in Highland Park that would work, they would pay for half of it. So, and that's on TV now, so don't you forget it, freeholders.
Okay, I'll bring that back to them. But thank you very much.
Thank you.
It was interesting for me to learn more about from their research, just to learn about the, how much it seemed to make a lot of sense in terms of the cost compared to a pool, the liability compared to a pool,
And the space.
And how in some cases it can actually draw in income as well. So it was interesting, and a lot of first graders were excited.
Did they include their research for us to?
So the letters two of the letters that I put. So I know that one went to Mayor Brill Mettler. I think one went to Councilman Hirsch, and I believe one went to.
I have all the letters here. I received them today.
Yeah, but I know from the 8th graders, there was one that either went to Councilman Fine or Councilman George, the third one, from the 8th graders. But I know the one that I think went to Councilman Hirsch had some footnotes with some research.
You'll have to share the footnotes with us.
And it made me, it's 100 degrees outside, it made me pine for a for a cool down.
All right. So anyway, thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Okay, any other public discussion? Please state your name and address.
My first name is Paul, my last name is Linares, and I live at 254 Lawrence Avenue in Highland Park. I'm also the president of Main Street Highland Park. I'd like to publicly acknowledge Councilman George for his generous support of movie night and by making a financial contribution to...
Time Bandits is one of my top 10 of all time, Paul.
Mine as well, and we're going to show it. So thank you, Councilman.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, please step up to the microphone. And just state your name and address.
Please come over to my building, make a noise, make a mess, yell, scream. I want you to come so badly. Okay, Jackie Zinberg, 239 South 6th Avenue. And I'll start with the easy one. I'd like to know how I can reach Councilman Hirsch. He was in the middle of talking about something important when I walked in, and I wanted to hear what that was about. So just after this is over, another day, how can I reach you?
Sure, I can, well, when we break, I can give you my card, but our contact information's on the website too. But if you want to email me or call me, I can give you my card.
Okay.
Was this related to the Housing Authority?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Great, thank you so much. Okay, and I'll get tougher as I go along. I'm just warning you so you can flinch. Okay, the second thing was, I don't remember exactly when it was, but the last time there was spraying for mosquitoes, I had been bitten a couple of times, and I called whomever the woman is that I was told to call. I don't remember her name, but I do have it written in my phone. So I'm just, not embarrassing anybody. Whomever that was I was supposed to call, I called. And all I said was, I was bitten, I would like to know. Calmly, no hysteria, no nothing. I would like to know, do we know whether any of these mosquitoes carry the Zika virus? I'm not going to run, I'm not going to whatever. I would like to know. And she hemmed and hawed and danced around it until I gave up and said thank you. That was it. I did not get any answer whatsoever. Is there a big dark secret? Or does she just not know?
So Councilman Hirsch, do you want to talk about that based on the Board of Health?
Sure. So I'm the liaison to the Board of Health too. We have no Zika in this part of the country, but I'm wondering who did you do you remember who you?
I have it in my phone. I didn't want to, say it in public.
So maybe since you're going to be speaking to Councilman Hirsch anyway, you could share it with him.
You know what? Not answering me made me nervous. Why can't she just say no?
Right.
All right. And then the next one is, and I'm really very serious about this, and I know it's not all up to you guys, but when we had that meeting about whether or not to make this a sanctuary city, every person I heard, and I spoke as well, took it very, very seriously. They put a lot of thought into it. It mattered to every single one of us. No matter which way we said anything, we knew it was not a black and white issue, and we really did care. Last week, I was talking to someone who works very closely with the reverend that's in the that church that's right near the where the market is. Okay. I forget his name right now. But anyway,
Reverend Seth Cappadale.
Yes. She told me and this is secondhand, I know it, about 4 families that live in Highland Park, I believe, Asian. They've been here for more than 15 years. They work, they have children in school. In fact, one of those children is supposedly, very, very, very bright in the advanced, whatever the group is for an elementary child. And something happened where when they came over, they missed the amnesty by 1 month. This is what she's saying, 17 years ago. And since then, they have worked, lived here, law-abided, reported every whatever months it was that they were supposed to report. I mean, really, really, these are people that we want in this community. Seriously. And then she said there was something done with ISIS, who the heck knows what. Everything but the trench coat was there. And these 4 families, husbands, were taken into custody. They were in jail for 4 weeks. This is secondhand, I know it. And they were not allowed to contact their families. They were not allowed to contact a lawyer. And they were shipped to Japan, which isn't even where they're from. And who have they got there? And then, where are they going? I have no idea. And then these families do not have what I'm guessing is the main wage earner. What happens to them? And I really do not mean to insult anybody here, but I'm being honest with you. What I felt like when I heard this story, and I had no idea whatsoever, where was everybody for 4 weeks? Where were we? Seth went down to Washington, D.C. trying to do something about it, so it can't be a big top secret. None of us knew. I asked other people. None of us knew. Okay? And what it made me think of was a few years ago, you walk around Highland Park and you see these really cool signs in people's yards, Darfu, not on my watch. What do you mean not on my watch? Darfu, not on my watch. Did any of those girls get freed? Not when we had the signs out. Are they all freed? No, they're not. What are we doing about somebody who lived in this community, 4 families, for 17 years? And these men were taken. Nothing said. I don't know of anything that was done. I would like to know.
So yes, we're aware of that situation. Councilman Hirsch, would you like to talk to it?
Sure.
I'm sure she's referring to the Indonesian families.
I'm trying to stay calm, but I'm really upset. I mean it.
Nobody's happy about that.
It's for. I mean, as you know, that we've taken the immigration situation in this country very seriously, and we've spent an enormous amount of time on council working on developing policies within that direct what we can do in our control. The 4 Indonesian families that you're
Yes.
referring to actually were not Highland Park residents.
Okay.
They were part of a network of they were part of a faith-based community that's part of a network of
Okay.
of houses of worship, of which the Reformed Church of Highland Park is part.
Right.
They what happened to them is horrifying, absolutely horrifying. And what happened was basically the rules changed. They showed up to their annual meeting
Right.
at the Federal Immigration Office,
Right.
and rather than just being checked in and checked out,
As they had been for years.
Correct.
Right.
As had been
Right.
the case, they were detained and deported, and it is horrifying. We have been very active on council as advocates and raising awareness and advocacy to these issues, and working with our legislators, and particularly our county, because that's where
Right.
often where the detention takes place.
Right.
As a local government, and you mentioned the sanctuary policies, we did pass a resolution which will lay
Okay.
the groundwork for the long term on developing new policies that affect our underserved and marginalized immigrant communities, documented and otherwise.
Right.
And in fact, tonight, I think before you got here, we had the first reading of an ordinance that will establish a permanent commission on refugee and immigrant affairs. But all I can say is that, and during my report, in fact, I noted that our task force on immigrant and refugee policy will be going to the Middlesex County Board of Freeholders meeting on Thursday to speak in favor of their recent policy related to detainers, but also to stand against perceived opposition, which we anticipate organized opposition there. So I would really encourage you to I mean, if you'd like, when we, it looks like I'm serving a lot of your purposes tonight. So let's be in touch, and I can let you know exactly what we're doing, and we're working with our local partners, nonprofits, faith-based communities on joining in the advocacy. We've been very involved.
Listen, I know that you have to do rules, and you have to have committees, and you have to pass resolutions, and you have to, and you have to. This was a time where we had 4 solid weeks to kick and scream. Really kick and scream. And what I have found is that when something like this happens, it is only addressed before the people are deported, if the people in the area kick and scream. And I can't think of anybody who would not be kicking and screaming. Why didn't we know? Why didn't we know?
So, let Council President Whelk.
There were several articles about this. I saw several articles, and there were groups of people that showed up outside the detention center in Elizabeth, and that was led by, I believe, this interfaith community.
Right.
So that we actually had people from our town and other communities that were there. I don't know, 4 a.m. I saw photos of when the sun was rising, and also we also had a. I know that Congressman Pallone was also advocating on behalf of these families down in D.C. Because we were all writing to him and asking him to please intervene, and I know he's committed to this issue as well, and I know that he's been supporting us on that too.
Right. Just one last thing I'm going to say, and then I have to wrap this up because we're only allowed to have 15 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
But I do want to say that the organization is Interfaith Rise, and I do speak with them. I will clearly let them know that we need to find a better way to get the information out to the public. Okay?
Is this a done deal? These guys are not going to be brought back?
I mean, that's out of our, I don't know.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, Clerk, would you report on advertising and notification of Main Street Highland Park 2017 budget for consideration of passage on final reading by title?
The 2017 Main Street Highland Park budget was introduced and approved on first reading on May 2nd. A summary was advertised in the Home News Tribune on May 6th, with the public hearing scheduled for June 13th. Copies of the budget were made available to the public in Borough Hall and the Highland Park Public Library.
Okay, may I have a motion to take up the Main Street Highland Park budget on final reading by title?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Any public hearing on the Main Street budget? Seeing none, may I have a may I have a motion to adopt or reject the resolution to adopt the Main Street Highland Park budget 2017 on final reading by title?
Motion to adopt.
I'll second.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Councilman Fine?
Yes.
Councilman George?
Yes.
Councilman Hirsch?
Yes.
Councilwoman Kim?
Yes.
Councilwoman Welkowitz?
Yes.
Okay, may I have a motion to table the vacant properties ordinance for consideration of passage on final reading by title?
Motion to table.
I'll second.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Councilman Fine?
Yes.
Councilman George?
Yes.
Councilman Hirsch?
Yes.
Councilwoman Kim?
Yes.
Councilwoman Welkowitz?
Yes.
Okay. Clerk, would you report on introduction of the lease ordinance for the capital equipment and improvement and financing program of the MCIA for consideration of passage on first reading by title?
An ordinance of the Borough of Highland Park, County of Middlesex, State of New Jersey, approving and authorizing the entering into execution and delivery of a lease agreement with the MCIA relating to the issuance of capital equipment and improvement revenue bonds has been introduced in writing by the Finance Committee for consideration of passage on first reading by title.
May I have a motion to adopt or reject and advertise the ordinance on first reading by title?
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Fine?
Yes.
Councilman George?
Yes.
Councilman Hirsch?
Yes.
Councilwoman Kim?
Yes.
Councilwoman Welkowitz?
Yes.
Okay. Clerk, would you report on introduction of the loan ordinance for the capital equipment and improvement and financing program of the MCIA for consideration of passage on first reading by title?
An ordinance of the Borough of Highland Park, County of Middlesex, State of New Jersey, approving and authorizing the entering into execution and delivery of a loan agreement with the MCIA for various capital improvements has been introduced and read by the Finance Committee for consideration of passage on first reading by title.
May I have a motion to adopt or reject and advertise the ordinance on first reading by title?
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Fine?
Yes.
Councilman George?
Yes.
Councilman Hirsch?
Yes.
Councilwoman Kim?
Yes.
Councilwoman Welkowitz?
Yes.
Clerk, would you report on introduction of traffic ordinance amendment for consideration of passage on first reading by title?
An ordinance to amend and supplement the revised general ordinance of the Borough of Highland Park, Chapter 7, Traffic, has been introduced and read by the Public Safety Committee for consideration of passage on first reading by title.
May I have a motion to adopt or reject and advertise the ordinance on first reading by title?
Motion.
Second.
Motion to,
Adopt.
thank you. Okay, roll call, please.
Councilman Fine?
Yes.
Councilman George?
Yes.
Councilman Hirsch?
Yes.
Councilwoman Kim?
Yes.
Councilwoman Welkowitz?
I just want to say that this ordinance is to accommodate a new business that will be opening on Woodbridge Avenue. Yes.
Okay. Clerk, would you report on introduction of ordinance creating the Commission on Immigrant and Refugee Affairs for consideration of passage on first reading by title?
An ordinance amending the Code of the Borough of Highland Park, Chapter 9, Boards, Committees, and Commissions, creating a Commission on Immigrant and Refugee Affairs, has been introduced in writing by the Health and Human Services Committee for consideration and passage on first reading by title. Keep doing that one first.
Okay. Okay, may I have a motion to adopt or reject and advertise the ordinance on first reading by title?
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Fine?
Yes.
Councilman George?
Yes.
Councilman Hirsch?
Yes.
Councilwoman Kim?
Yes.
Councilwoman Welkowitz?
Yes.
Separate that one first.
Okay, motion. May I have a motion to separate item number 24, 617-204 from the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Fine?
Yes.
Councilman George?
Yes.
Councilman Hirsch?
Yes.
Councilwoman Kim?
Yes.
Councilwoman Welkowitz?
Yes.
Okay. May I have a motion to adopt the following items, number 18 to 23?
So moved.
Second.
Why are you doing that?
And then I'll go back and do 20.
Because you're making more roll calls, except item 24. Everything but 24.
Okay, so to make it simpler for the vote, let me revise that call for a motion. May I have a motion to adopt all of the items listed on the consent agenda except for item number 24?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Fine?
Yes.
Councilman George?
Yes.
Councilman Hirsch?
Yes.
Councilwoman Kim?
Yes.
Councilwoman Welkowitz?
Yes.
Okay. Item number 24 was pulled, so I can notify everyone that this is a resolution for the council to agree to collect and remit the school portion of the taxes. These are not taxes that we as a municipality are levying, but simply collecting the taxes and reimbursing the school system. So may I have a resolution to approve certification of the amount to be raised by taxes for school programs?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Fine?
Yes.
Councilman George?
Just to add to what the mayor has said, the school board passes its own budget and then certifies it to us. Unfortunately, the tax bills that go out aren't broken down. I've been lobbying for legislation through the state for the last 5 years to have the tax bills broken down to show what everybody does. The borough is not taxing you your entire tax bill. It's less than 40%. I think it's even less than that is the borough. I vote yes.
Councilman Hirsch?
Yes.
Councilwoman Kim?
Yes.
Councilwoman Welkowitz?
Yes.
Okay. May I have a motion to adopt a resolution to amend annual salary resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Fine?
Yes.
Councilman George?
No.
Councilman Hirsch?
Yes.
Councilwoman Kim?
Yes.
Councilwoman Welkowitz?
Yes.
Okay. May I have a motion to adopt or reject Chapter 159 Sustainable Jersey PSE&G Grant?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Fine?
Yes.
Councilman George?
Just to remind the public, in our report, we talked about the shopping bag grant, and this is acceptance of that grant. Yes.
Councilman Hirsch?
Yes.
Councilwoman Kim?
Yes.
Councilwoman Welkowitz?
Yes.
I am appointing the following: Nasreen Rafiq to Immigration and Refugee Task Force, Beth Stevens to the Public Information Commission, and Dina Stevens to the Human Relations Commission. May I have a motion to confirm?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Fine?
Yes.
Councilman George?
Yes.
Councilman Hirsch?
Yes.
Councilwoman Kim?
Yes.
Councilwoman Welkowitz?
Yes.
Okay, this is our last public discussion. Anybody have anything to ask? Yes, Brian?
Hi,
Just state your name and address.
my name is Brian Onken. I live at 112 South Fifth Avenue.
You can raise that if you want.
I can't.
Take it out.
Take it, there you go.
Okay. I also run the outdoor movie theater, and I also just wanted to publicly thank Councilman George for his support. We really appreciate it. If you want a T-shirt, just let me know. Give me your size, and I'll make it happen.
I just want to point out that I was looking for a T-shirt at Rogue One, and unfortunately, it just took too much time to hassle Randy Solomon to get the popcorn up and running. But I appreciate that. You'll recall when I first offered to sponsor some of the movies, that I suggested that we start to make it a challenge to have the local businesses or local personalities sponsor a movie that they happen to like.
Right.
This year you did a great job. You literally have 5 out of my 10 top movies on the calendar this year.
We share similar tastes. Okay, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, seeing no further discussion, may I have a motion to adjourn to executive session to discuss litigation and acquisitions?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Meeting is adjourned.